What's going on, YouTube? So something else I wanted to do with the channel, along with my drone reviews, car thoughts, and all other stuff that's in between. I wanted to go ahead and talk about the rentals that I've had over time, as well as the rentals that I will have and I will be making videos on. Because one thing that I realize is a lot of times you go to, like, my place of choice is Enterprise. And, when you have a selection of vehicles to choose from, it's like, what do you know about those vehicles? Is this the one that you may want? Or, is this something that you would definitely not even drive if your life depended on it? So my thing is, I wanted to go ahead and make some videos rating these cars so that if in chance you happen to have, need to rent a vehicle, you'll have a little bit better of an idea about something you never thought about buying, but now you have an option to drive it. So, you might be surprised, just as I was with some vehicles that I looked at and I couldn't stand it. At least I thought I couldn't stand it, and even when I had no choice but to pick it, and I drove it, and I thought I hated it to start with, before I turned it back over to Enterprise, it was something that I was like, this is really not so bad. And it turns out that one of the vehicles that I rented actually ended up being one of the vehicles that I actually purchased, because I was so surprised with, space within it and all of that, that I decided not only is it something that I would rent, I would definitely buy one as well. So, all of my videos from this, my very first one, which was meant to be just a regular car review, but this one actually falls into two categories. It falls into the category of a video that I really wasn't going to release because I wasn't sure of the quality, but it's also my very first rental review. And so it's like a 2-for-1 where you can kind of rate the video and you can get a rating from me on my first video about an Enterprise rental. So if you like the video, definitely subscribe, thumbs it up. If you feel like there was something that can be improved on it, give it the thumbs down and get some feedback. But either way, here's my first video, my first Enterprise rental video, I should say. And it's with the Mercedes CLA250 of all cars. So starting off with a luxury vehicle. So go ahead and check it out, and I'll catch you at the end. All right, what's going on, YouTube? I'm here doing the actual full review to this Mercedes CLA250, and I'm gonna give my thoughts on the exterior design, my thoughts on the interior design and ride quality, and basically just let you know, if this is something that I feel like is worth being a keeper, or just something to have a little bit of fun with. And off top, I will definitely say, as you can see, I'm focused on the front end of this vehicle. The grille is definitely the standout design, and it looks great. So this right here, that's what it's all about. Now let's go ahead and kind of take a look around the entire vehicle, where overall I don't think you can kind of really look at it and say it's an ugly car from any angle. What I will say, up close you'll realize just how small of a car it is, but I don't know how much you can really kind of count it as a negative that it's small, considering this is actually more so a sedan, coupe sedan in a sense. So what coupe do you know that, if you look at it from that perspective, is really this long? So I guess size is all relative to whether you look at it as a four-door sedan or something that's kind of going to replace the coupe that you drive and give you the functionality of having an actual rear pair of doors for your passengers to be able to get in and out of without you having to kind of scoot your seats forward and letting them in and out. And when I say coupe sedan, open this door for you. And as you can see, the coupe style with I believe that's a pillar that it doesn't have. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'll definitely kind of get my car terminology together as I do more videos, but I think it's a sleek look when you don't have that piece above and you just kind of have all window, especially when you let it down. And of course, one touch, that's where you really get that coupe style look. Just let the rear down and really just let all four windows down. Yep, and there's that. So I'll definitely say, the amazing thing that stood out to me was the fact that, in my video comparison to the Cadillac XTS, I realized these are 17-inch tires, and on this car they actually look small. I really thought these were like 15-inch tires, rim and tire, but it's 17-inch wheels. So something about that, I don't know, it kind of amazed me that maybe the car is actually bigger than what it looks when a 17-inch tire looks that small on the car. So the more you look at it, the more you realize perception may be kind of deceiving. So kind of get the rear angle. And overall, I'm definitely a Mercedes fan, and this car, from a design perspective, it doesn't disappoint. Got your dual exhaust, LED lights, definitely something that from a design perspective, I think they did it right from every angle. Got the integrated turn signals in the mirror. And swing it right back around to the front. Definitely looks good from the front. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop the hood, pop the trunk. Just kind of take a look at, what's under the hood and how much trunk space we have. right, so taking a look at trunk space, I would definitely say, you know, again, it depends on kind of which way you want to look at it. Because as a sedan, you may say, trunk space is kind of small. But looking at it from the coupe's perspective, you know, this is, you know, a fairly reasonable amount of trunk space. You know, I did a comparison in my last video, and so when we talk about trunk space, you know, again, it kind of depends on which way you want to look at it. As a sedan, you know, you might look at it and say, pretty small trunk space. But as a coupe, you know, a coupe sedan, you might look at it and say, hey, well, this is more than what I would get in the average coupe. So, you know, trunk space, it's reasonable. Either way, looking at it from whichever perspective you want to look at it, you know, it has the, looks like it has the pass-through. I'm going to go ahead and check that out. But, you know, it's reasonable trunk space. You know, you can get groceries in here, no problem. Maybe looks like you can get, you know, a large suitcase, a couple small ones. I'm going to go ahead and check and see if it has that middle passage, which it clearly looks like it is a pass-through or not. So let me check that out. See how easy it would be to get it going. As you can see, it doesn't look like you can do it from the inside. So let's try from the trunk. And coming from the trunk, you have to dive in, and that's how you do it. So I guess this is a pass-through, which maybe, I guess if you got some, you know, if you're a golfer, I guess your clubs would kind of maybe slide through there. But wait a minute, I'll tell you what, looks like the entire seats may fold down. So let's check it out. Alright, so after straightening a little bit, I kind of found out how to go ahead and do that. It's a little button in the back. And of course, if my seat wasn't as far back as it is, it would fold flat down. So let's go ahead and confirm that. Go to the other side. Take care of this real quick. And that's the convenience of Mercedes design vehicles, where you can actually, if the windows are down, you can adjust the seats. I'm just reaching in, clear and easy. All right. And with the seat slid forward, we can see that not only do you have a pass through, let's say that again, a pass through for certain items with that little door, the seats also fold down. So there's a little bit of functionality and practicality for you. Get these back up. Snap it back in place. Get our trunk closed.
back in action. So we're gonna step back out and take one last look around the exterior. I'm just gonna take it for a drive and give my thoughts about how it feels, and you know, a few thoughts about the interior of the car. But again, I have to say, from the exterior, outstanding. And of course, why wouldn't I end it on the most attractive portion, front end? I almost forgot. I had to pop the hood. Let's take a look at that engine, the mighty Turbo 4, which of course, you know, it's covered up, so there isn't much to see, but you know, get under the hood anyway, just for the fun of it. And hey, it's new, it's nice and clean, we can say that. I'll go ahead and close this up, and with that nice amazing grille one more time, and now we can take a look and get some thoughts on that interior. Alright YouTube, so I finally got me a GoPro, so I'm trying a different angle and see how this turns out for me. But I'm back in this Mercedes CLA250, and I just kind of wanted to take it on a drive and give my thoughts on driving one, and just kind of seeing if it lives up to that Mercedes name as far as, you know, the ride quality, the comfort, and you know, all that good stuff that you think about when you hear Mercedes. So, you know, so far what I can say with my experience with this car is there is that feeling of, you know, just, I guess you could say, the mystique when it comes to, you know, knowing what you're driving. And so it's almost like, you know, when you know what you're driving, you kind of have a bias and say, oh, it's more comfortable, oh, it looks better, it feels better, you know, just a different thoughts that come along with having something that you know it's supposed to be great. So I kind of want to give my thoughts without the bias as much as possible. And you know, one of the things that I can say is, for this to be kind of like, you know, one of the smaller cars, one of the more entry-level vehicles in the Mercedes lineup, when you compare it to other vehicles of this size, and you start to talk about kind of, you know, the ride quality, you know, performance and stuff like that, it's definitely a step above from that aspect. Now, just kind of overall, you know, comparing it to other vehicles that I've driven, you know, it's not the most comfortable, but, you know, I would put it up there, you know, higher up there as far as just kind of, I guess if you want to say the cool factor with driving it. You know, there's just kind of something like when you look at the you know, the dash and the interior, it's still something that, you know, again, for the price point, which is, when we're talking about luxury price point, you know, it's fair but good at the same time, to the point where it's like you'll look at it and there's not much you can really complain about, but at the same time there's a few things that you can look at and say, well, you know, I could get a lesser name and get more quality for the price. So this is kind of, you know, one of those things where I look at it and say, how much does the name, you know, matter when it comes to you know, what kind of vehicle it is that you're choosing. So, you know, I'm not really big on names. Like, it plays its part, but it's definitely not the determining factor, because, you know, I definitely looked at a Kia K900 and I wouldn't have thought twice about getting it if, you know, it just had, you know, everything that I wanted from the performance perspective, the looks perspective, comfort and all of that. And it's something that's kind of still on the list, but it's not as high up as it once was. So, you know, with that being said, name means something, but definitely not number one. On top of my list is more so, you know, the practicality and comfort and reliability, stuff like that. You know, of course, you know, performance and design are pretty high up there as well. So, you know, getting back to, you know, talking about this vehicle specifically, you know, switching between the different modes, I kind of come to like the comfort mode more than, you know, sport. Sport just doesn't really do it for me because, you know, it just kind of feels like, I don't know, I'm definitely not on a track, I'm not even on a highway, you know, so it's like, what do I need the longer shifts to just kind of make the car kind of feel like it's, you know, not what it is, which is, I don't know, luxury first, performance second, maybe, you know, depending on your thoughts, maybe it's supposed to be a combination. But either way it goes, to me, I just kind of, I don't know, I'm not a fan of how sport feels, you know. And maybe if it was something where I had the car a little bit longer, or if it was my actual daily driver, it's something I would look at and say, you know, here's when I would use sport and here's why I like sport. But overall, you know, it's definitely a comfort setting for me. Now, you know, I already kind of did a video talking about the, you know, the tech in the car. So I'm not going to touch too much on that when I talk about kind of how, you know, my opinion on it. I'm just going to more so focus on the driving aspect. And it's definitely something that I could drive on a daily basis because it is comfortable. There's a ton of leg room. Like these seats, you know, I really don't need a ton of leg room because I'm definitely not, you know, the tallest person. But at the same time, you know, if you know you have a passenger that's going to have you know, a little bit more height or a lot more height, your front seat passenger is definitely going to have a ton of space, you know, as a driver or a passenger, you know, up front. In the rear, considering this is more supposed to be a coupe sedan in a sense, I mean, I guess, you know, anytime you talk about coupes, you know, you don't even expect to have leg room. So, you know, this situation is no different. Rear space is better than a, you know, typical two-door car, but, you know, nonetheless, it's not something that, you know, I'm sure the back passengers would want to deal with on an everyday basis, unless perhaps it's kids. Okay, so, you know, as I was saying, you know, the rear space is definitely something that, you know, if you know you're going to have taller passengers on a consistent basis, you might want to rethink getting the CLA model, because your passengers definitely won't be happy. So if you kind of happen to come onto an enterprise lot and you see a Mercedes CLA as an option, is it worth the price that they would charge? For the experience, I almost would say yes, because you kind of get to know a little bit about, you know, the high-end car without actually signing on a line and having to deal with that high-end note on a longer-term basis. Are there cars that you can get that are cheaper and overall have a better feel? Yes. You know, to be honest, you know, a spec'd out Impala is something that if I had a choice between this Mercedes, this exact one as it's, you know, kind of spec'd out now, I'm definitely going to pick that Impala if that Impala is a top of the line Impala, because not only do you get the size, I feel like that ride quality is actually better. There's just certain things where I will look at it and say, screw the fact that we're picking a Chevy over a Mercedes. It's all about the fact that, you know, it just kind of sort of, it's more bang for less buck. And speaking of that, you know, since I kind of got a little bit of open road here, I'm going to go ahead and switch to sport and give it a little bit of acceleration just to kind of see. And, you know, of course, when you have a car long enough and, you know, you get your time with it, I will definitely say the acceleration for this 4-cylinder, you know, turbo 4, it actually felt pretty good. You know, it wasn't throw your head back and, you know, the typical laugh that you hear from a YouTube video when somebody's accelerating in something that's, you know, out of this world fast. But it's still something that, you know, hey, if you need to pass someone, it's definitely enough power to kind of get you across with not too many worries. Get you around, I should say. So basically, I'm going to go ahead and find somewhere to turn around and take it fast one more time on this road. And hopefully my camera angle is right. Because again, you know, this is my first time with the GoPro, and I kind of want to give a good view of the dash, a little bit of the outside road, and probably a very small amount of myself in this one. But you know, we're gonna see when I kind of look through the video exactly what it looks like, and no matter what it looks like, I feel like this is still going to be a video that I post, so as you kind of get my end video thoughts. If you're wondering if the video does look kind of crazy, this is definitely why, because I got my GoPro at an interesting angle, and I'm hoping it's an angle that doesn't kind of have you looking sideways and wondering what the hell is going on. But you know, as I was saying, I'm going to go ahead and turn around and give you one more quick, you know, acceleration test in sport, and see if you know, during this video I changed my mind about how I feel about sport mode. So I'm gonna turn right up into this Kia dealership, come on around and hit it on this open road. Like we have no one in front of me at this stoplight, so be a good chance to kind of not go full mash to the pedal, but you know, from a standstill, see what I do. So we're gonna go ahead and just wait for this light. Green light. And no, I tell you what, it sounds like the engine is trying, struggling, can't breathe. I'm not a 4-cylinder kind of guy. Even in sport, the way this thing accelerated, at least, and maybe that's because it's a turbo and it needed some time to kind of pick up get the juice flowing. But I'm definitely not a fan. I'm gonna put this back in the comfort and just kind of coast on back to my destination. This car, you know, maybe it's meant to kind of get that push, but not for me. So, you know, I think I pretty touched on almost everything I wanted to touch on as far as kind of the ride quality, the interior, which, you know, if I really didn't say it, I'm going to say it. I like this interior. It's almost like it's a basic interior, but at the same time, there's some form of a different luxury appeal that I could appreciate. I think it's maybe the appearance, like the combination of like a luxury and sport that you know, it works for me. So, you know, other than that, I can really say that is it worth it to try it out? Yes. Would I personally buy it? No. But you know, hopefully me kind of going through and checking it out save someone else from you know, spending their money at an Enterprise or even at a Mercedes dealership, picking a car that may not fit their overall wants and needs combined, and you know, just kind of looking at it from you know, a certain couple angles, or driving it, you know, for, you know, 15 minutes and getting that short term, you know, what could be like that short term high of, oh, I'm in a Mercedes or I'm in a new car and it's like I really like it. You know, I think it's good to have that basically, like I say, a weekend with a car to really experience it and kind of get past that I guess you can say that honeymoon thought of being in something new or different. So, you know, hopefully the video has an angle that works. Hopefully the information was something that kind of helps you if you thinking about, you know, renting one if there's an option, or even purchasing one. So, you know, that's pretty much what I got for you for this video. Thanks for you know, checking it out. Make sure you leave your comments if you do have this car and you've had it for a while. Tell me if it's something that you know, as I spoke on the features as far as, you know, your sport, your comfort, you know, how do you feel about the sport mode and the acceleration over time? Just you know, your overall thoughts about this car, and if it's something that you're glad you bought it, or if it's something that you were waiting to get rid of it. So, you know, like I said, you know, leave your comments. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, you know, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned. I'm out.
Alright, so since this really wasn't supposed to be a video that's about rating the rental, I have to go ahead and tie in the loose ends and go ahead and give my thoughts on this car and give it somewhat of my first rating that, you know, as time progresses and I get better at it, I'll give it a better, more complete review and score. But for now, I'm just going to kind of give it a 1 to 10 based off of what I rented again. And what I will say about it is, one thing you can learn about me as I continue to make videos is I'm really not a fan of 4-cylinder cars, whether it's supercharged, turbocharged, naturally aspirated. I just really don't care for 4 cylinders. And that's what this Mercedes had, and I believe it was a turbocharged 4-cylinder. Nice car to drive. It definitely looked good. Kind of small, but at the same time, as I kind of said in the video, I mean, it's supposed to be somewhat sporty, so I guess sporty and small goes hand in hand. But either way, overall, you know, it's been about 2-3 months, maybe even longer, since I've actually driven that car. So I've had some time to really let the thought of that vehicle set in. So this review is a really good first one to give, because, you know, now when I think about the car, it's not an impulse thought. It's something that, like I said, it's sank in and it's there, it's marinated. And what I would say is, would I rent it again? I would definitely rent it again. Would it be my luxury car of choice if there was, say, a 300 on a lot or a Cadillac on a lot? If both of those, that Cadillac option or the 300 option, are loaded models, I probably would bypass the Mercedes and pick the others, based off of size, of course. I know the 300 is a full-size car, and if the Cadillac, you know, is XTS or even a CT6, there's a no-brainer with which one I'm gonna pick. A smaller Cadillac like the ATS, I probably would maybe think about it, but lean towards the Benz. So with that being said, my initial rating on this car would probably be about an 8, because overall, the engine, the car still did what I wanted it to do. It was still fun to drive. It looked good. It was missing some key features, and of course it's a rental, so sometimes you're going to miss out on some key features just to keep it cost efficient. And that one, you know, as I said in the video, missing the heated steering wheel, heated seats, sunroof, just stuff that I actually got used to. So I guess as a rental, not having those features is okay, but you know, I still factored in because, hey, some rentals do have all of that, and it's just that much better of a rental. So I think the 8 is more so in part because of the name, the hype behind it, you know, and the look. The look, even though small, it was still a good look. And, you know, it was still a fun car, and it was my first time driving, second time driving a Mercedes. But my first time really getting it I think I had it for about 3 or 4 days. And so I really got the feel for what Mercedes is all about, at least from an entry-level standpoint. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I'll give it an 8. And once I come up with a more detailed ranking system, we'll revisit it and see if that 8 stands. But until then, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs it up, thumbs it down if that's how you feel. I'm out.